Hello, everyone. This is your host, Debra Poneman, and I'd like to welcome you to our call with today's guest, Asara Lovejoy. Asara's background includes an extensive history of study and practice in the human potential movement, including training in quantum field theory, NLP, hypnotherapy, and energy healing. Asara has studied with many renowned teachers, including Jack Schwartz, who worked in conjunction with Dr. Elmer Green at his research center at the Menninger Foundation. Applying the principles she teaches, Asara has turned her business into a multi-million-dollar enterprise as she shares her message of how to step into the gap between desire for a better life and the ability to actually get there. Her passion is helping people create the reality they truly desire. A successful author, a beloved speaker, and founder of the One Command Method, Asara is one of the most compelling voices to emerge from the self-help and human potential arenas in decades, as she teaches us not to ask for what you want or wait for what you want, but to command it. And today you'll discover one decision you must make to tap into your genius for success, why negative thinking is a natural function and how to look at the good side of negativity, how human beings are hardwired for success and how to engage that by accessing your theta mind, the benefits of thinking in theta that are specific to your greater financial well-being, how confidence comes from within and how to access it easily. And Asara will also share with us a simple process to change old subconscious programs and redefine what you want to think in moments rather than years. Oh my goodness, this is going to be an amazing call. Asara, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Debra. It's such a pleasure to be on the show with you. I so look forward to sharing information with the audience.
Well, I am so happy to have you. You are a brilliant teacher. I always learn something very profound from you, and I know today is going to be no exception. And, usually at this point in the interview, I ask people to share about their journey and the major turning points that allow them to manifest their success. And I was hoping maybe, can you just share just a little bit of your journey? Because I know you have so much information to share. We don't want to take too much time, but a little bit, like some of the high points.
Well, thank you for asking that question. And I think everybody is on a path. One of the things I like to say is that there is a from here to there story within every individual. Where I was here and where I am now, where I've gotten to over there. And so many of our transformational experiences are about that change within us of how we make a change from here to there. Mostly we make that change unconsciously, and we go through a lot of pain and suffering, and we find that it's difficult, and we get knocked down over and over again. And what I discovered through my own journey was that each one of us has subconscious triggers and patterns that we carry within our own DNA, our own unconscious mind, that determine these stories of where we are not successful or we are successful and we have it taken away from us. And that was my model. I've been successful over and over again, having my own business. I opened the doors to my own recreational vehicle dealership in the 80s when women weren't even supposed to be in that field. I had millions of dollars worth of inventory just on a credit arm without having to spend a cent of my money. I mean, I had all kinds of wonderful experiences, and then right after that, I would crash and burn it. And so it was got married at 19 to a millionaire, and so I started right at the top with having as much money as you could possibly want, and then I crashed and burned it. So it was everything in my life was very good, very expressive, but then coming back to extremely devastating losses at the same time. And I wondered why I did that. It's like, what in me would continue to create a pattern of experience for me when I'm a smart person, supposedly, when I'm kind of capable, maybe, but I'm doing this unconscious stuff. So why is it that I continued to do that unconscious stuff? And I was so insistent on studying the mind, studying the mind-body connection, studying the subconscious mind, studying the science of the mind, so that I could find out what was my mind doing that was not in alignment with my spirit. My spirit would have liked to have had it go differently, where I was successful. I stayed in a really great marriage. I continued to grow a business and sell it, for whatever I wanted. And every endeavor that I involved in, I went from success to success to success. Isn't that a better model? Don't you think that would be more fun to have as a model in our life? So when I was doing all of this research and studying, I discovered that there is a powerful part within us that it is now just being acknowledged in science, that now the brain-body-mind connection that is brought forth by Dr. Bruce Lipton and Candace Pert, Biology of Belief, Dr. Bruce Lipton in Changing How You Change Your Mind, Evolve Your Brain, by Dr. Joe Dispenza. All of them are out here now, and many other people, Greg Braden, many other people, are now talking about how we have the power to change and affect our own internal belief systems. Well, I discovered that I could do that when I was doing the neuroscience studying, but I still wasn't able to quite implement it yet, because it was mostly about how, most of the stories that we hear in the motivational self-help field are stories about how somebody else did it. And they're good stories, and they're inspirational for about 5 minutes or 2 weeks, and then you sort of forgot that story, right? But you get inspired in the minute. And I think, well, what could be different than that? And then my final crash and burn, when I had invested all my money in a retreat center, ended up having to spend 2 years to try and make everything work, to bring it up to code, and to get everything done, and end up being broke and having a huge mortgage on it, and then about to lose it. That was my last up and down moment. Almost $1 million was spent, and I was about ready to lose my whole investment from years and years of work. And I just crashed and burned, and it was like, how could I have done this to myself one more time? I'm so embarrassed. I'm so ashamed of myself. My kids will be ashamed of me. How could I have done this? And I just was devastated and crashed and burned and just fell to my knees. And in that moment, I just went up into that greater intelligence that I say each and every one of us has, that greater power of our own. We're biologically designed with this great power of the different states of awareness that we have within us. And the reason we go through all the suffering that we do is that we only use one state of awareness to try and solve problems. That's the beta mind, ordinary intelligence, where ordinary intelligence in the beta mind is designed to contrast and compare. And that's why I say it's designed to be negative, because you have to think about what's not good as well as what's good when you're comparing and contrasting. So the beta mind is the logical thinking. We plan our list, we plan our websites, we're going to set our goals. That's all of that doing state. Call it the masculine state of the doing state. And in that doing state, there's a conflict in the unconscious mind of saying, well, wait a minute, I don't want, you're riding roughshod over me. You're making me do all of this stuff, but that's not really what I want to express. I really want to express my deeper truth. I want to express my hopes, wishes, dreams, and desires. And what I'm doing is getting stuck in the squirrel cage, trying to respond to outside stimulus, to fears about the economy, to fears about devastating loss when people lost their whole life savings when the crash came in the 2008 and beyond. And so all of that is a response mechanism, Well, the way out is in, to go into discovering this power that you and every individual has of these different biological states of awareness in our mind, of the brainwave activity of these different states. They bring in states of consciousness that are completely different than the negative thinking brain that's never going to stop being negative. That's its job. So just love it. Thank you for telling me I'm too close to the cliff. I really appreciate that. Thank you for telling me not to get too close to the fire. I appreciate that. Thank you for, telling me what can go bad if I don't button my seatbelt. I appreciate that. That's the negative mind, and it has a function in our life, and it always is operating in duality. So the other parts of our brain waves that are non-ordinary alpha, theta, delta brain waves operate completely differently. They operate in a holistic state of awareness in only now time without any evaluation or judgment. And our unconscious is designed in theta from birth, that when we're in the womb to 5 years old, our minds operate only in theta delta brainwave. They don't have any beta mind when we're a child. So everything that we accepted about our life as a child up until 5 years old is our subconscious platform. Whatever decision we made was us 100%. So mom and dad are over there fighting in the corner, and it feels really bad. And we say, that feels really bad. I feel bad. I'm bad. And not only that, because I am everything in my experience at that age, I caused that fight over there. I'm the reason they're fighting. So later on in life, when we want to go out and do something wonderful for ourselves, that program kicks in that says, well, you can't do that because you caused bad things to happen. That might be dangerous if you exposed yourself and took a risk and tried to help people. Maybe you'd do something bad instead. Can you relate to this, Debra? Am I, on track with you, or am I going too far out there? You got to rein me in sometimes.
You are so on track. I'm eating this up, and
yeah, so great. So when I was in that experience of complete surrender with no logical mind, my logical mind could not give me an answer. I went into the theta brainwave, and in that whole state of awareness, the whole gestalt of 6 easy steps and one statement called the one command came in, and I started using that process to keep my house. So I don't know how. I said, don't wait for what you want. Don't ask for what you want. Command it. So what you're commanding is your subconscious mind to say, hey, I want to know a new platform of reality. I want to operate in the quantum field of consciousness of a new potential that doesn't exist in me right now. If it existed in me, I would already have the solution. So when I'm commanding, this is not the law of attraction. This is the law of creation. When I'm commanding that I become the superposition observer, choosing a new reality by my command, because observation changes reality. When I choose to command a new reality, everything in that open potential soup of the quantum soup now has formed into one new idea. I don't know how I keep my house. I only know I do now, and I'm fulfilled. And I'm doing this while I'm consciously in my theta brainwave. So the 6 steps: ground, align, let your eyes roll up, because that's what we do at night when we're in the theta brain state. I can talk about that a little bit more later. But when we're making that command, everything in our biochemistry, our neural processing system in our brain, and our unconscious patterns of how we have linked a decision with an experience in the past is changed. And when we know we change something, then because we're masters of our life, we're creating a new life for ourselves in that very moment. Now I want to come back to saying when I changed that in me, I had no answer. I could not get money. The house was already leveraged and financed. I didn't have a job because I had quit seeing clients and doing teaching to do the remodel. Family and friends weren't available for, bailout. And so there was no logical way for me to solve the problem to save my home. But when I went into that altered state and made the command, what I say is that the solution to every problem and the potential of a new idea of something new is created in that moment when you're open yourself to saying, this is beyond me, but it is my personal intelligence, that not universal intelligence, not God intelligence, but your personal intelligence has the answer to every solution. In chemistry, how matter is created, every action is a positive, negative charge. Everything has a positive, negative charge. Every cell of our body has a positive, negative charge. That's how the biochemical, electrical charges go through our body, firing the biochemistry of emotions, thoughts, and feelings. So when we have negative and a positive charge, that means that if we're at one end, if we're saying the negative end is the problem, what's inherent in it is a solution. There's never a problem without a solution. There's never a solution where you couldn't have a problem. So when you say, well, if that's true, let's just pretend that we just thought about, instead of how am I going to solve this problem, how am I going to make more money for my rent? How am I going to get better health? How am I going to be able to elevate my business into another level of success? I want to go from $2.5 million to $20 million in my business. How am I going to do that? I want to open the doors to a business. I want to get rid of my anger in my relationships. How am I going to do that? So when you start accepting decision about what's possible for yourself, you make a decision that I may not know how it's done right now, but I do know that it's doable. So that's the first step, right? Is that making sense to you? I don't know how to get this done, but I do know that it's doable. Is that making sense?
Yes, absolutely, 100%.
I mean, compared to, I got a problem. Oh, my God, I got a problem. I want to tell you about my problem. Oh, there's no solution. Oh, I'm in my problem.
Mm-hmm.
We get so enamored of our problems, right? We don't want to give up the struggle of our problem. And when you come into knowing that you got this super intelligence that's yours, you're biologically designed with it, and that now you can consciously access it, whereas before you might say, well, it's going to take me 10 years of everyday meditation to calm my mind to be in a peaceful state and to be a loving person. Now, how about if you did it in 5 minutes with 6 steps while in the theta brainwave, making a command and shifting your biology, neurology, and your biochemistry in an instant? Because that is how long it takes, is an instant. It only takes an instant to change your biochemistry. And it works in the theta brainwave because the theta brainwave is directly connected to the subconscious, unconscious mind, directly connected to the patterns of how the brain is wired. Dr. Joe Dispenza says when you have a negative belief or behavior, an activity, the brain that those thoughts that fire together wire together. So that's what creates a system of dysfunction. At first you just kind of have a little dysfunction, and then over the years, it just becomes a habit of dysfunction. And it's only dysfunction if you call it that. Maybe you like getting angry a lot, but some people don't. Some people want to change that behavior. Some people want to be able to be more connected to other people, not be so shy. Some people want to be better musicians and artists. Some people want to be better entrepreneurs and business people. So whatever it is within us of that hopes, wish, dreams, and desires, if you know that it's doable, that you actually have the capacity within you to make change that affects your reality, that you create a new filter of reality that then must be realized because we're master beings. So the life we have right now is the life that we're firing unconsciously within us. We cannot experience anything outside of what we're already designed with in us. What we're doing now, because of the new science, is to say, well, we're not limited by that design. In the past, we would have to go to years and years of therapy, and therapy's good. I recommend anything in the self-help field that helps you. But before we would say, well, I'm going to go to a therapist, and a therapist is going to reveal to me what my dysfunction is. Well, I say let's take it one step further. What if you just forget about the dysfunction and say, what do you want instead, and how could I create it? How does that feel to you when I say that?
So much better.
Yeah.
So much lighter, so much freer.
So when I come into talking about how to make the one decision that can change it all, which we'll talk about a little bit more at the end, that's the program that I have that we'll be discussing that more at the end. But the first thing that you have to do is start making decisions for yourself. instead of against yourself. A decision for yourself is uncomfortable. We're not used to saying, I can do this. We say, well, here's the plan, but here's the things that could get in the way. I can't open the doors to my business right now because of the economy. Asara, that's real. How can you argue with real facts? I said, well, it's not real. It's just a made-up idea. And there's people that are suffering in the economy. I totally get that. And there's people that are making a lot of money in the economy. Look at the stock market. I get that. What if it were just as true that you could open the doors to your business in this economy and be a success? Oh, I kind of feel your body because I'm so kinesthetic. I go, oh gosh, that feels really weird in my body. What kind of pictures am I seeing right now when I say that? What's my inner voice telling me when I say, what if it were just as true that I could open the doors to a new business right now and succeed? What if it were just as true that I could have X, Y, Z of anything you want? Some of the ideas of this process that I've been able to then, when I had that moment of transformation for myself, I just began sharing it with people, and then more people came to my living room, and I just started teaching other people how to do the same thing, and then more people requested more information. I ended up writing a book about it, and then I ended up doing more and more live seminars and trainings and teachings all around the world. About 325,000 people so far have, had a chance to learn how to go through this process of the 6 steps and the 1 command. And in the program that we'll be offering everybody at the end of our talk, of course, you're taken through those 6 steps and the 1 command in a specific way of showing you how to create decisions for yourself, particularly the one decision for your success that will make all the difference in the world for you. When you begin to operate in another form of reality outside of your beta logical thinking mind, and it gets familiar to you and comfortable to you, then it becomes a skill. So you're creating a mindset and a skill set to transform your life, to become an awakened individual in charge of your own life, in charge of creating your reality. And what we say is that it's a simple process because we want you only to meet yourself exactly where you are, that you're perfect exactly where you are. And the only question you ask yourself is, what would I want to change, improve, or remove in my thinking right this moment? What would I want to change, improve, or remove in my circumstances right in this moment? So let me just ask you, what would you want to change, improve, or remove in your circumstances?
Okay. Change, improve, or remove.
So change means you want to change some behavior or thought or pattern of thinking. Improve means you already like you're doing something, but you'd like to do more of it better. And remove means I'm done with that. Don't want it anymore. Just to clarify.
Well, I think you could probably help me clarify this, but if you're asking me personally, it's always self-doubt.
Great. Oh, that's a fun game.
Change, remove, and improve. It's all the same thing.
Great. Self-doubt is great. Lack of self-worth and self-doubt is great. So if I were to say to you, when did you start doubting yourself? Go back in your early childhood, because that's when we first started creating programs. What made you doubt yourself? Who told you to not believe in yourself?
I always felt like I wasn't enough. My brother was a genius, and I always felt who told me? You know what? It was subtle. I would probably say it was my mother, not in her words, but in innuendo. Because in her words, I was always the best and the greatest and the most beautiful and the most brilliant, but there's something underlying it.
Okay, so your brother is a genius, so you're a sub-genius.
Uh-huh. I had other good qualities, but I was the sub-genius.
You're the sub-genius, and he's a genius. Okay, so what would it be like if you were put yourself ahead of your brother?
Well, I would feel, because I put myself ahead of him in other ways. I don't want to put myself in front of him in the brilliance, genius way, because I would feel badly about that. I don't want to hurt his feelings.
Well, he doesn't know anything about it. It's you putting yourself ahead of him inside of you. Do you
Oh,
want to
boy.
always be second, or do you want to be first in something? Scary,
this,
isn't it? So scary. See how the resistance is coming up right now?
Totally.
Remember what I said, asking for what you want is not easy?
Yeah,
okay,
totally.
I don't want self-doubt, but I can't ask for what I want because I'll take it away from other people or hurt somebody else.
That's my whole thing. I don't want to be the best, even in the things that I'm really, really good at, because I don't want to take it away from anyone else. That's my whole thing.
Do you see how illogical that is?
I guess. Yeah.
No, you don't. Emotionally, you don't see how illogical that is. So it's illogical to think that you can be a piece of sunshine and take anybody else's sunshine away.
You're right intellectually, but this is the big stuck for me.
Right. So what would it be like if you put yourself ahead of your brother? And I'm just using this as the metaphor because if you shift the metaphor in your subconscious mind and you see, feel, know something new, everything in your system changes biologically, biochemically, and your memories and thoughts associated with the decision you made that you are doubting yourself because he's more genius than you are will dissolve. What would it be like living without self-doubt? What would you use that energy for? If you didn't have self-doubt, who would you be? Your ego goes, my God, I've had, X, Y, 30, 40, 50 years of self-doubt. You want me to give it up in a minute, Asara? Yes.
Yes, seriously. Seriously, it's my constant companion. So the one thing that's dependable.
Right. Okay. So if you were ahead of your brother and you were confident in yourself, then what would come up? Will you be afraid of, being criticized by people out in public, or you'd take away something from them? What else?
That's my big thing. I don't want anybody else to be sad. I don't want people to think that I'm better than them in any way. I want them to think that they're the best. I'm okay not being the best, but I want everybody else to feel like they're the best.
Okay, so I'll sacrifice myself. Again, yeah. I want you to be the sun shining everywhere, but I want to be a dark cloud.
Well, I'll just be the sub-sun. Oh, there's the sub again. Huh.
Yeah, the sub-sun. So just close your eyes for a minute.
Okay.
Just close your eyes for a minute and make a decision that you're going to be a sun, that there's room for you to be a sun. I don't know how I am a sun that shines as bright as everybody else's sun. I don't know how I let go of inhibiting myself from being as great as I can be. I only know I do so now, and I'm fulfilled. Now, I didn't even do the 6 steps. I'm just doing this with words. But can you see and feel the import of those words?
I felt it immediately. Whew.
Yeah. So now I'm going to have you do it, just quickly, because this takes about 5 minutes, but we're going to do it in like 30 seconds here. So just quickly close your eyes again. Okay. And now just ground. See yourself grounded in the earth, your energy going down from below your feet into the earth. Then align back up into your heart with I am a bright sun shining as equal as everyone, equal as my brother, equal as everyone else. I'm a bright sun shining. Ooh, there you go. Now let your eyes look up underneath your eyelids. Now we're shifting your brain into the other brain waves that you have rather than your beta mind. This is your theta mind. And then imagine that you're moving out past the atmosphere, out and past the Milky Way, out past the void of space, and pop up into the white luminosity of the quantum field soup of all there is. Command. I don't know how I am a bright sun equal to all other bright suns in the universe. I only know I am now, and I'm fulfilled. I don't know how I'm confident in who I am. What's the opposite of self-doubt? I have complete confidence in the choices I make. I don't know how I advance myself into a superpositioning of a great bright light in the universe, living my full potential right now. I only know I do, and I'm fulfilled. Now expand into an idea that's even greater than what you stated, that serves a greater good for you and those listening and in the world. And then as you bring it back down, we're going to let go at the cellular DNA level and unwind those old, I'm in self-doubt, I doubt myself. unwind it, let it go, just dissolve it. And in this new space, allow yourself to see that bright sunshine inside of you. I am confident. I have my right place in the sun. I am the sun in the right place. So what's the first thing that you notice?
The first thing right now, honestly, is that I feel filled with light right now, I have to say.
Yeah.
Also, I realized I was carrying around some chronic tiredness that lifted.
Uh-huh.
Interesting. I didn't notice it was there until it lifted. Also, I feel like this joy inside, like around my heart and my throat.
Yeah.
Lots of good things, really.
Yeah. And that's the power of your mind. That's the power of the chemicals of our own biology. So I always thought I kind of go back to my message of where I started, where I'm saying there's a lot of self-help motivation out here where we like to hear it. We get some good ideas that we keep every once in a while. But what if you have a practice that is this simple, to literally shift out your old ideas of what your limits are and use the other parts of your intelligence. I remember when I was in high school and everywhere else, they talk about the fact that we only use 15% of our brain. And I was the kid that raised my hand and said, well, okay, but what about the other 85%? What's it doing? And they'd say, well, we don't know. And I said, well, you're the science teacher. Shouldn't you know? So now I'm like saying, hey, you know what? This is what the other 85% of the brain is for. It's for creating reality in a place of our brain that's not programmed. We have 15% of our brain programmed with beliefs that are decisions that we made when we were small, defenseless, and powerless, and that we've attempted to overcome throughout our life. And many people are living great success programs and would like to live a more gentle, happy, harmonious life. Well, as you said, you're feeling more relaxed. There's more flow of energy coming through you. When you consciously go into the theta state, when you go up, imagine, come back down, your whole neurology shifts in such a way that you get like a great relaxing rest, because the theta brainwave is now active in us as adults 3 times a night in what we call rapid eye movement, sleep, REM sleep. And in that rapid eye movement sleep, the function of our theta mind is, the eyes go back and forth. That's why it's called rapid eye movement. But they also spontaneously roll up underneath your closed eyelids. And when you're in that deep theta going into delta brainwave, you're releasing stress, fear, worry. You're actually releasing at the muscular level in such a way that everything in your body gets refreshed, re-energized, and healed. They've even tied in fibromyalgia now to not getting enough REM sleep at night. You can get a CPAC, get enough REM sleep at night, and all your fibromyalgia will just go away. So the power of that rapid eye movement, REM sleep state in the theta brainwave is transformative. Now we can do it consciously awake. So now we can dream consciously awake. What can we dream? You can dream whatever you want. And how have we given up our dreams? How have we settled for saying, I have to be a sub-sun? Now can you see how ludicrous that sounds?
Absolutely.
You are a sun. You're a brilliant sun in your own right. Your brother's a sun in his own right. Everybody on this call listening is a sun in their own right. I'm a sun in my own right. We're all shining in our sun. Let's make each of our suns shine the biggest and brightest capacity that we have, that we can do this. So now the science has caught up with the understanding of how our body, mind, brain, spirit work together. And when we know the science of how it works, then we make a decision of that we want to create this path for ourselves. It's like I decided, for example, that my father was a rageaholic, so I know how to get angry really easy, and I always tell the story that I've been married more than once, and my last ex-husband running out the door, I'm yelling at him, how come you don't know when I'm yelling at you, I'm loving you?
Wow.
my father, was a rageaholic, and he yelled at me all the time, and we fought all the time, and I knew he loved me. So that was love for me, right? That yelling and fighting is love. And then, after the failed relationships, all of a sudden the light bulb goes on over my head, and it's like, well, maybe they don't think it's love. So what would it be like if I gave up that idea that that's a good way to express love, is to fight with somebody? Mm-hmm. What a cosmic joke, right? So I made that commitment of ending my first reaction to being uncomfortable to being angry, and did it with the process of the 6 steps and the 1 command. So, we peel the onion, and there's many, many programs that we start with, and the others rise to the surface. And so we just get to keep meeting ourselves every moment with releasing one program and then facing the next one when it shows up and saying, what do I want to improve, remove, or what do I want to, change, improve, or remove? So I just meet the next thought with that and then command for a change. So now the thing is, people say, well, how does this work? I mean, how does it happen that if I change a thought that quickly inside of me and I have a new result, how did that happen? Why does that work? I mean, don't we have to suffer to learn? Shouldn't it take a long time to discover something about ourselves? I said, well, if you wanted to, I suppose you could, but that's just an idea. And it's an idea that makes us comfortable because we didn't know another way to do it. So if you have a new way to do it and it's fast and it produces results, wouldn't it be kind of interesting to be curious about doing it in a brand new way? So the reason that it works, for example, one little gal had wanted to have more income. She'd never made $10,000 in 1 month. And so in one of our little commanding well circles, she says she usually brought in about $3,400 each month, and she didn't know how she'd get more money, but she just commanded, I don't know how I increased my income to $10,000 this month. I only know I do now, and I'm fulfilled. Well, in theta. And she said she felt kind of confident that she could receive, but she didn't know how it was going to happen. So she thought her tax return was going to be $1,200. It ended up to be $3,800. She got a new client, and the total amount at the end of the month was $10,040, and that didn't even include her salary. So how'd she do that? So another example was the woman who was in one of the live seminars who wanted to start back up her consulting business, and we did a lot of clearing with the commands on her confidence in being able to start up her consulting business. And so she said, well, actually, I have a meeting to set up a preliminary talk with a client this afternoon after the end of the conference. And she called the next day with my favorite statement, Asara, you won't believe what happened. I said, yes, I will. Go ahead. Tell me what happened. She said, they signed me up for a $30,000 contract by the end of the talk. I said, isn't that powerful? How'd that happen? Why did that happen? And my book was written about creating more financial good for yourself because so many of us have always had money be our core issue. That's how we've defined our reality of our limits in the amount of money that we didn't make, rather than the amount, the security, money, all of that's tied up in our subconscious psychic field of the United States of America and capitalism and how we're supposed to present ourselves to the world. So I wrote my book, focusing on creating money, but the process works in everything. So a good friend of mine had cancer, and she was down to 89 pounds on chemotherapy. And she was a feng shui master, and I had said to her, I know that you are a master because you've come to my property, and literally I've seen my property lift up and shift its position on the poles of the earth and come back down again. I mean, I'm talking metaphorically, but energetically, that was my sense of what happened. And I said, I know that you can do this. Let me send you my book. And I hadn't even published it yet. I just sent her the manuscript. And she started reading the book, and she said, oh, I understand. I'm not asking for what I want. I'm not commanding for what I want to create for myself. So she said she started commanding for her health. I don't know how I recover from this condition in my body, and I'm healthy, and I live the life I want to live. And so that night she had a dream of being able to go through one path was life and the other path was death. and she chose life. And she woke up in the morning, and this is one of the 5 qualities of spontaneous healing, is she knew she was healed. She knew that her cancer was over. And within days, her hair started growing back and her weight started coming back. And the doctor said, well, you're in chemotherapy. You can't do this. She said, yeah, no, I know that, but I'm doing it anyway. And she's alive today, like 6 years later. Wow. Now she's complaining about weighing too much.
I have to tell you, I am loving this so much, and I think that this is a perfect time for you to share with us a special offer that you created, because if the listeners are on the same wavelength as I am, I want to know how to do this. The process that you went through with me was just a taste, and it was phenomenal, and I want to be able to do this every day. So can you tell us, by the way, everybody, to access this package for yourself, just click on the special offer button on this web page. Can you tell us about the special offer you created for us? And by the way, I highly encourage everyone to go and look at the offer now, follow along as Asara explains it to us, okay?
Yeah, I co-developed a program which is called The One Decision You Must Make for Your Success. And in the program, Catherine Perry, the co-host with me on the call so that we could dialogue. And we have, of course, the PowerPoint presentation and the audio presentation together so that you can follow visually as well as auditorily. And we also have wonderful bonuses, one of which is a whole nother set of calls. It's a seminar on its own called The 3 Beliefs You Must Have to Succeed. And in it, the design for this program is working with what we talked about today of how you decide and what you decide, then how you command that decision into your life. And that there's certain parameters that we go through in wanting to create something for ourselves. And usually we start with just kind of, I wish I could do it better. Like you said, self-doubt had been, up until now, self-doubt had been your constant companion. So what if you decided that you were going to change that? So you make a decision. You make a decision is different than wishing for it. You make a decision believing that it's possible without having any knowledge or evidence or understanding how you can do it, because we know that's true. If you knew how to do it, you'd have already done it. So we understand that you don't know how to do it. In your beta mind, in your conscious mind, it's the rational thinking mind, you don't know how to do it. But now jump over into your theta mind. This is the place with the negative positive charge that has a solution that's your personal solution for you. So we show you how to go into that place of a solution for you, and we talk about the one decision. I'm not going to reveal what it is here on the call. You've got to get the program to find out what that one decision is to change it all for your success. And we go through the program taking you through the reasons why it works, how it works, and then the commands. So we take you through a lot of the commands like I did with you, only it takes a little longer because we want you to go deeper with the theta state. Shifting right now in that moment into a new decision for your success. And, the results of the program are just phenomenal. One gentleman was working with clients that he was an investment counselor, and I took him through this process of making the right decision. And he said, I'm really good with people that have $3 million to invest or less, but I want to work with people that have $30 million. And I'm like kind of laughing, and I'm saying, well, 3 million, 30 million, just add a couple of zeros, I mean, they're big, they're people that have got big incomes, right? How is 3 million and 30 million different? And he was sharing how he just felt insecure around that next level of wealth. So he said, well, you want to decide for having better comfort with that next level of wealth. So we went through the commands, that they were good people, that they're just as open and honest and responsive as people that invested $3 million, shifting the neurology, the biology, the biochemistry of those limits. I get the call like 2 days later, Asara, you won't believe what happened. Yes, I will. Tell me what happened. He says, I got my first $30 million investor in my portfolio, and he's the nicest guy. And so the reason that it works is because we are our own limits. We are living our limits rather than living our genius, that we can live our genius when we learn that it's possible to live our genius, and when we learn that we're biologically designed to live our genius, that it's inherent in each and every one of us. And that's what is the message of the program, and what you're going to find in the program as we take you through it step by step, explaining it and unraveling the mystery behind it. And then there's some very nice super bonuses there that go along with the program for a very small investment for a very large return.
This is so phenomenal because, first of all, in the program that you are going to show us how we decide, what we decide, how we command that decision, and so many other programs is you have to know. But your program is, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I just want to say that alone is worth the price of admission. Because what a relief that we don't have to figure it out. I don't need to know how I'm going to increase my income. And then you just do the process.
And then what happens is because we're masters and we only experience what we have created in our own belief system, now we've created a new belief in our body biology and mind. And it says, I am creating, I am a son, I am equal, I'm confident as anybody else, I trust myself rather than I doubt myself. And now, who's that person? How's that person going to experience life? What will happen is that you get to meet life from this new positioning. You literally have shifted your positioning in the universe. So now one reality of what you've been experiencing is the limits. Now you're in another state of unlimited experience of yourself. So when tomorrow or later this afternoon, things are going to start happening where things will come into coherence with you. We call it synchronicity. The money shows up. The relationship shows up in alignment with your new creation of belief within yourself. And it's no different than what you're doing right now. So I say it's 100% assured that this works because it's what you're doing right now. Only the commands that you're making in your unconscious mind right now are your limits, not your genius and not your greatness and not your potential realized within you. So when you start realizing your potential by your commands within you, that now becomes the new super highway of consciousness that you're living. You're going to have new experiences. And I laugh. Here's my favorite saying, okay? All you have to do is give up everything you think you know, and you can have everything you want. So when I say I don't know how, I'm releasing my beta mind to try and figure it out. I'm going into my super consciousness of my theta mind that has the answer. I'm allowing that answer to arrive within me. Now what happens is the action steps now come forth from within you naturally. Not that you're going on your list of what you have to set for your goals, because there is no goal. You are in a state of beingness that simply accepts this reality as real, and it does realize itself right in front of you. You do work, you do action steps, you do things that are spontaneously coming up within you and creative ideas of how to build your business in a better way, solve the financial problem that I did for my house in 2 weeks. And I actually ended up getting a tenant in here to pay for the rent. And that's part of the story in my book of how that happened. And then used the deposit for the startup cash of my life, creating, over $2.5 million of income flowing in from the products and services and reaching 325,000 people. So I don't know how I reach 1 million people. I want to reach 1 million people this year. That's my goal. That's my dream. So I'm commanding for that. But wherever you are, you have the capacity to be more consciously awake, more in your own mastery of your life, because you are designed for it. So that's what's in the program, how the design works and how to activate the design and how to implement and use the skills that we share with you in the program.
So that is fantastic. And I have one other question. By the way, If you haven't done it yet, just click on the special offer button on this page to see for yourself what an amazing package this is. You will be so glad you did. I really encourage you to take advantage of this. I'm going to, for sure. And what do you believe are the biggest benefits that people can expect to experience starting right away and then over time by applying what you teach in the program?
I think the biggest benefit, number one, is that when you access this theta mind by simple process, as you noticed, you were filled with light. When you do this, you're turning on a neurological place of relaxation. So people say, well, how do I know when I'm in theta, Asara? And I said, well, what did you experience after you went up through the 6 steps major command, and then you came back down into your body again and just, opened your eyes? What was the first thing you noticed? And he said, well, I noticed I'm relaxed. I said, great. And then when did you think about your problem? Well, it doesn't seem so overwhelming anymore. It feels much more, I don't know, like it's there, but it's not like overwhelming my life. It's just, there's a possibility that something could happen in a positive way. I said, well, so if just those two things happen, would it be worthwhile to learn how to do it and not have to know how to meditate for 45 minutes or, go on a 10-year journey to clear your mind to do it? Yeah, that would be great. So that's the first benefit of learning this technique, is that you now begin to operate from a relaxed, confident, peaceful place as you're dealing with things that are going to come up. Life is still going to happen. We're still going to have things happen in our life that may not be pleasing to us in the first instance, but you go through it without pulling your hair out or having a mental breakdown or feeling overwhelmed. You're now energizing that part of your body, mind, brain, biology, biochemistry that supports you. It supports you to be an adult in your adult body, bringing your emotions into harmony with yourself in a more mature way. And you're doing it by just working with your own system of the way that your brain and biology work. So it's fabulous that way, number one. Number two, you often get spontaneous results in moments where your money comes in or the right relationship happens with your love partner. I have wonderful stories there. I have stories of physical healing, many beautiful benefits of the actual positive results from learning this as a technique for changing your life in new ways. It's wonderful.
Wow. Okay. So my last question is this. Before we go, because our time is up, what is just some final thought that you can leave us with? You have given us so much, by the way. This has been absolutely sensational. Your program just sounds like it can't be beat. I mean, it's very, very exciting. It's so logical. And anything else that you want to say before we say goodbye?
Well, yeah, I always like to say that I think that the fact that so many times we have suffered or experienced our limits and that we still go forward as human beings, that I'd like everybody to just say, I am a courageous person for living a human life. And just acknowledge that, there's such amazing greatness in each of you, in you personally, that the fact that we have had this ability within us physically, but we haven't known about it or how to tap into it until the science has kind of met the practice of self-help and how to change the dynamics of our own DNA and our own unconscious programming. And now it's here now. And everybody's responsible for creating this because you've all wanted it. You've all wanted to be able to make change quicker, faster, easier, and better. So listen, give ourselves a pat on the back that we're courageous of living through whatever difficulties we've lived through up until now. And then give yourself permission to think about yourself in a new way, of your genius being realized within you and of your being able to live on purpose, self-aware, in awakened state, knowing that you're a conscious master of your life, determining the outcome of what you wish to do in your life and the results that you're creating. And just play with that as a thought and idea about what you can do, because it's amazing when you do. You're all a miracle for the rest of us. And I would love to, have you email when you get the program and start a conversation with us and share your stories with us. We have a wonderful community that we've created of people that we're in conversation with all the time that are using the technique. So there's a huge, massive support group for you. And just realize that you are just a wonderful, wonderful being right where you are, and that you have the talent and gifts and abilities to realize another part of yourself that's been dormant maybe up until now, and that you can turn it on and activate it.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Well, Asara, this has been beyond extraordinary. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today.
Oh, Debra, thank you. It's my pleasure, and we'll see you next time.
Yes, we are looking forward to it. And thank you to everyone for spending this time with me and with Asara Lovejoy. And I look forward to when we're all together again. This is Debra Poneman. Have a spectacular rest of your day.